Hey, what is going on guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in a Fortnite video, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you guys the best way to counter explosives in this game. And explosives, I mean anything from RPGs to grenade launchers or even to dynamite. I'm going to give you guys my best tips and tricks when it comes to countering explosives and just how to get out of the situations where you're just getting absolutely spam left and right from them. And before we get into the video, I have a V-Buck giveaway. If you guys want a chance to win some free V-Bucks, all you need to do is to drop a like on this video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on my notifications, and leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And as well, make sure you guys have me supported as a creator on the item shop. All you need to do this is go to the item shop, hit X, type in Young Humor. That's all you have to do, and you will have me added and supported as a creator. So in this video, guys, I'm going to be talking about how to counter explosives in this game, because getting killed by explosives probably has to be one of the worst things to do in this game. It's the most annoying thing to die to explosives. And I feel like that's the case because it can be pretty difficult to counter if you don't know exactly what to do. And even for me, I die to explosives quite often. I don't die to them as much as I used to. But when it comes to the different explosives in this game, you have to play them differently. And what I mean by that, so the first four explosives that come to my mind is, I would say you have the grenades, the handheld grenades that you can throw. Then you have the dynamite that you can throw. And then you have the RPG and the grenade launcher. So those are the first four grenades that come to my mind. I'm not sure if there's any other explosives in the game, but with those four explosives items, you have to play each item differently because they act a little bit different. So starting off with the grenade, so the handheld grenade, and this is something that most people, they really don't even use too often. I mean, if people are going to use it, it's going to be off spawn. And with this grenade here, it really doesn't blow up a whole lot. It kind of does a lot of damage to the wall, and I think if you get hit by it, I do believe it does about 100 damage. So it's a really annoying thing to get hit by in the early game. So either you're going to die or you're going to get knocked off all of your shield. So super annoying, and one of the best ways to counter it really is just to box yourself in or just try to run away from the situation. And the thing with this grenade is when it lands, you're always going to have a little bit of time to react to it. So it's not as bad as a grenade launcher, so at least you have a little bit of time, to make your move if there's any nearby buildings, or maybe just some extra builds nearby to kind of protect yourself. And even if the grenades are right next to you, as long as you have turbo build down and they're coming from one direction, then they should not be able to hit you. And for the next explosive that we have the dynamite. And when it comes to the dynamite, it's a little bit different because with the dynamite, you're able to delay the throw. And once you delay the throw, it means it's going to blow up even sooner when it lands. So when it comes to the dynamite, the best way to counter, in my opinion, because the dynamite, it blows up everything. So the second it lands on a house, if it lands on a wall, or even on a box, it blows up completely everything. So if someone's throwing dynamite at you, honestly the best way to counter it is just to have one wall up, because if you just try to spam build, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to be burning through mats because the dynamite blows up everything in its path. So the best way to counter it, really, if it's a dynamite in front of you, is just to have one wall in front of you and then just stand next to that wall. So the dynamite's not even going to be able to hit you, and on top of that, you're not going to be burning through 200 or maybe even 300 mats trying to protect yourself. But honestly, you might have to box yourself in depending if there's people above you, if there's people to your left and right. And that also plays a huge factor on how you play against explosives. Because if it's just a 1v1 situation, it's a lot easier to play off of than if it's like a 1v2 or even a 1v3. So basically, to sum it up, when it comes to the dynamite, you just want to use the least amount of materials needed to block it off, and then as soon as it's done, try to make your move, because if not, you're really going to be burning through a lot of mats and really don't even need to. So next here, I want to talk about the RPG in Fortnite and the different ways that you can counter this and then to go about it. I would say the RPG is the most used explosive in this game, especially in the late game situations. Unless you're playing in the pop-up cup or you're playing in a scrim, most people aren't going to be carrying the dynamite into late game, or you might see it a little bit in the mid game, but usually in the end game, you're really just going to see a bunch of explosives when it comes to RPGs, grenade launchers. You're really just not going to find a lot of grenades and dynamite in those situations. So when it comes to the RPG, it's just one of those weapons that you get spammed a lot when you're going for high ground or to get shot down with. So basically, when it comes to the RPG, it's going to be very difficult for you to build, because if you try to make any sort of building play, you're going to get shot down immediately by the RPG. And usually in a squad game, one thing I like to do is, if I'm playing against a squad, if I'm going up 1v4 or even 1v3 or even 1v2 really, if I'm going up against any sort of team with an RPG, I always try to take that player out first, because if I don't take out that player first, then every single time that I'm going to try to build up, or if I'm trying to go for his teammate, I'm going to be constantly spammed by RPGs. and the max RPGs you can have is 12, which is a whole lot different than when the game first came out, where it would honestly be pretty common for you to have 20 or maybe even 50 rockets in that in-game, just spam after spam after spam on that last team. But even with 12 rockets being the cap, it still is a lot of time that you're getting constantly spammed, and in that time you're getting spammed, you're losing a lot of materials, and as well it's going to be very difficult to go for the high ground, and of course it's going to be very difficult to try to take out the other players. So just trying to go for the RPG player first is going to be your best bet, and this could be the same with the minigun or just any weapons like that in general that just do so much damage and that are super annoying to builds. And the way you play off RPGs when it comes to someone who's above you with an RPG or someone who's in the distance with an RPG, you want to play those two things differently. So if someone's a little bit in the distance, so they're basically just not above you, if they're in front of you, or maybe they're a little bit in the distance shooting an RPG, the best way you can counter it is really just to sit back until they're done shooting. And even while they're shooting, you should try to get as many tags as you can on their teammates or even on them. And the reason for that is you really can't do much when they have an RPG, because they're going to be constantly shooting it, and it's like I said, it's going to be almost impossible to get any sort of high ground because it's going to be a constant RPG spam. But you could use buildings to your advantage and different things like that. But if you're kind of in the open and just relying on your builds alone, it's going to be very difficult because you're just going to get spammed, and there's not too much you can do to go for high ground or try to do anything too fancy. So you pretty much just have to wait it out till they're done spamming, and once they're out of the rockets or you're able to get a lucky enough knock on that player, then you're going to be able to finish out his teammates and easily win the gunfight because you're not getting constantly spammed down. But say you're going against an RPG player who is above you, and this is a lot more tricky, because you have to be careful because with the RPG they can easily, I mean absolutely easily, shoot you out, and you don't want to be put in a position where you lose a lot of health to fall damage, because that's going to give them a major advantage on you. So one of the best tips I can give you guys when it comes to someone who's above you with an RPG, the best thing that you can honestly do is, first of all, you want to keep your builds close enough so if he shoots an RPG you can catch yourself and you don't have to worry about falling down like 50 stories. And if you want to be able to rush up on that player, what you have to do is you have to wait the second he shoots his RPG. So as soon as they shoot their RPG and they're going for that reload, then that is the time that you want to make your push, because if they're reloading, if they want to get off that reload, then you're going to have the high ground on them, and that's basically the best situation that you can have. So if they're above you just constantly hammering rockets down at you, what you have to do every single time is as soon as they shoot their RPG and they're going for the reload, then you're going to have to play as aggressive as you possibly can to go for that finish, or at least try to go for high ground before they can reload their RPG. So there really isn't too much you can do, but that honestly would be the best way to counter it. And so the last explosive that we have to cover is the grenade launcher. And the grenade launcher is very different in a way that you can shoot 6 of them, and they're honestly the most annoying thing ever because they're really hard to predict, and especially with the audio cues, you never really know where they're landing because this is a constant spam, and the second they blow up, you never know, the next one could come in right inside your build and even land right under you and finish you without you even noticing. So that is a really annoying thing to deal with, and honestly the best way you can counter this is, so with the explosive with the grenades, there's going to be a perfect range where the second they shoot it and where it lands, it blows up, because it does take a little bit of time for it to blow up, but if they're coming from a little bit of a distance, then that means their explosive is going to blow up the fastest. So if they're right next to you, you have a lot more time to react than if they're further from you. Which means if you're getting spammed by this, the best thing that you can do, the best way to counter this is to rush that player as fast as you can. Because once you rush that player, even if they keep shooting their grenade launcher, it's going to take even longer for their grenades to blow up. So if you're getting spammed and you're constantly keep moving back, and eventually the grenades are going to be blowing up even faster and faster, because the further you back up, that means by the time it gets to you, it's going to be even closer to blowing up than if you were to rush over there. And typically with players like that, they're going to spam all of their rockets at you at once, and they really could have 18 rockets just constantly coming at you. And so once you rush them, pretty much the grenade launcher is going to be ineffective at point blank range, and most people, what they use the grenade launcher at is kind of at that medium range where they're going to have a really good angle to get a lot of shots off. And point blank, like I said, most people aren't going to be using the grenade launcher point blank, and that's where it's going to be least effective. So if you want to avoid the grenade launcher, if you want to get absolutely hammered by it, then I would suggest that you rush them as fast as you can, because once you rush them as well, you have people trying to go for the reload on it, and if you're rushing them, if you're trying to get above them while they're going for the reload, then they're not going to be able to get that off, and it's just really not that effective at a point blank range. So that's the best way to counter that type of explosives. And with that being said, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope this video helped you guys out, and if you guys could drop a like on this video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on my notifications to be notified for every single new video, and alright guys, I'll see you in the next video.